Shalom and welcome to this beautiful Thursday stream of Las Plumas. My name is Plumas, and that is way too loud. My name is Plumas, and I am here to accompany you through a very interesting journey through the art of Furūsīyah, the horsemanship in Arabic. But hi, hola, how are you? Hola. I really like that you guys are improving your language skills just based on coming here. And I've noticed that there's a lot of people that says hello in Spanish, and then a lot of people say hola in English, and I love that. I'm up for that because that's mixture and exchange, and that's way up my alley. So how are you, Oloko? How is this Thursday treating you? I hope everyone's having so far a good week. I am actually. Ciao, Humberto, ¿cómo estás? I am having a good week. It's going by quite quickly, and although work is intense at the moment, but you know, it's Thursday. Such is one. Okay, so Nosotros is going to drive, as always. Do so carefully. We will behave in your absence. I will keep an eye on the rest of the chat for you. And so, yeah, work is being crazy, but it's getting fun. It is getting fun. And yeah, today I am beyond happy because I am such a horse person. I am such a horse girl. I know it's a big stereotype. I think I said this when we talked about horses in the third millennium. But it is true. I mean, I love horses. I've been loving them since I was very young. I've not lived with them because I haven't had a house. Can you imagine? And I haven't had a house with my own horses. I never owned a horse, not at all. But so did my family members. Hi, Saurav. And I've been near horses. I learned how to ride when I was somehow young, when I was like in my early teens, and I've been, I've just been around them, and I love them. I know that animals that can be very twofold because they are at the same time the sweetest and the most intelligent, and then on the other hand, they are very dumb, but very, like clumsy and stupid by nature. Epic get thrown. I've actually, multiple times. Yes, I became very good at rolling because that is the key to it. Once you fall, unless it's like a very bad fall, you can't throw yourself. I mean, a horse has, intentionally thrown me in like this kind of rebellious or even mean way. No, not at all. I threw myself on the ground sometimes to prevent something worse to happen. So yeah, but horses, they are a handful. They are a handful. But I am very happy because when I suggested this topic to my patrons, they went for it like on a heartbeat. They really wanted us to keep on talking about horses, and it's special as well because there's multiple things I'm interested in. I just love studying, okay? It's a weird thing to say, but I love studying. I like studying. What is that, loco? I know someone who broke an arm on a throw. Oof, yeah. But she loved it so much, she came back for seconds. You know what? I understand perfectly. I feel this person. Like, I do. I understand why. And I'm really happy that they came back for seconds, and she's doing well now. Does she still ride? And is she, like, was it impactful on her life, having a broken arm, or it was just like, a broken thing and then you recover? So the horse broke her other arm. Really? You're joking? Oh my God. And she came back again. That's the attitude we want here. Unbeatable, unstoppable. Oh yeah, definitely a fighter. Definitely a fighter here. Oh my God. But she's not permanently injured, is she? As in, like, it was not. I don't believe there's been a third incident yet, which we're very happy for her. We're very, very happy for her. And we wish nothing but clear skies and rainbows on her journey on top of horses. So hopefully that won't happen again to her, because it must have been very, very painful and very scary, because horses are big creatures. Sometimes we don't understand how large and massive they are. Even, I'm not talking about the tallest ones, but how powerful a horse really is. The the entirety of the body, the strength they have on the muscles, the prowess the creature has. It's wow. Always, if you approach animals, always do so with respect, especially horses or like larger animals that can, throw you a handful of meters away and stomp you on a tree. She seems fine, possibly damaged judgment, but that's not the horse's fault. Really hope she's your friend. And you say so with endearment. So, I was saying that I love studying, which I do. I mean, studying is one of my passions, and there's multiple topics I'm interested in, but I've never gotten the excuse, quote unquote, not that I need one, but actually, I think I need one. Let me rephrase that. It's just based on what little time I have available, selecting those topics is becoming more challenging because I want to cover everything, but I'm very aware that I cannot do so. And sometimes that's why I offer them on Patreon to see, like, I have these very interesting things I want to talk about. What do you guys reckon would be better? What is more inciting for you? Hi, Eric. And what is more suggestive, or what do you think is more interesting? A myriad of other ins and outs. But then when this topic came out, I was fully aware that I was not going to dedicate it just to the Persianate or the Iranian Zorg. No, I wanted to talk about something wider and then more precise, but for those to narrow it down until we coming to meet not only the Islamic world as a whole, and I'm going to comment on that Islamic world term, but I don't know, I really liked enlarging my horizons, like widening my horizons and stepping out of my comfort zone, because even though if it makes the same effort for me to study about the Persianate to prepare stream for you, it is a challenge to venture into some of the fields that I'm not an expert on, like at all. I'm not an expert on horses, I just like them very much. And I'm not an expert on the military arts, I just like them very much. So, the fact that my patrons follow me and, I light up the beacons and they follow, like just go head first, it's really excited for me. So thank you, patrons, for that. You're still working. We'll have a stream back for a while. Thank you so much, Eric, for always having us. We got your back, and I have a stormtrooper with me. I couldn't find any other mug, but this is fitting. I don't have mugs with horses on them now that I think about it. And this is boiling, yeah, as expected. So, today, we are going to talk about Furūsīyah, which is the art of horsemanship. I can't talk, can I? It's the art of horsemanship in the Islamic world, or at least that is the term that it was used in Arabic. Now, a wee note on the Islamic world, quote unquote. I'm not a fan of saying that, because I don't really think it's suitable to describe anything. Saying Islamic world doesn't necessarily mean anything particular, because there's common things, there's common ground for such a thing as the Islamic world, being the language as the official one being Arabic, the religion, of course, being Islam, the places of cult and worship being mosques, and so madrasas being schools attached to the mosque. Yeah, for sure, there's some common features. However, what we call Islamic world was so vast and it covered so much territory that I think is very unfair referring to it just as Islamic world as if it was something homogeneous. It was definitely not. Though you've been here with me in many streams where we talked about the Persianate and the Iranian plateau, and you can already see how different things were in the same cultural whole, quote unquote, Persia. Am I abusing the quote unquote thing? Yeah, I possibly am. Apologies for that. So I don't really think it doesn't do it for me to say in the Islamic world. I can use that word to present something to you, but then I feel the urge to be more precise, like just going for a particular context in which we are going to talk. And this context in the case of the Furūsīyah is the Mamluk the Mamluk monarchy in Egypt. Well, Sultanate will be a better, the Sultanate, and it will be a better name for it. But I just wanted to comment on that because Islamic world is Al-Andalus. Islamic world is the north of Africa with all its beauty and variety and subtleties. It is also the Arabian Peninsula. It is the Persianate. It is India, and so and so. So, if we pause for a minute, the saying that it would be unfair to say just the Christian world, except for certain things, meaning the Christian world was affected by a crisis of faith. Okay, cool. The Christian world was witness to many different heresies throughout the 12th and the 13th centuries. Okay, this applies to the Christian world. I'm not going to do that anymore. However, the Islamic world, it is presented to us as this block, as this entity, and more than entity, identity of something common, where in fact there were multiple kingdoms, sultanates, emirates, shahanshahs, aids, and the cultural variety is rich and should not be forgotten. That is why I just wanted to, make this introduction that was absolutely non-scripted. I just thought of it as I was coming home driving. But it's very important that we keep that one in mind. It's very, very important, because if not, we're going to think the Islamic world, and in our heads, it will be the same thing I apply it for Egypt, for example, in this very particular moment, which is the Mamluk Sultanate, could be applied in Iran in the 17th century, or could be applied in Al-Andalus in the Arabian Peninsula, or in the north of Africa in the 7th, the 11th, and the 19th century, because everything is Islamic world. No. Meaning Islamic world, when I say Islamic world, what I mean is based on the common language, which is Arabic. The word Furūsīyah occurred in the entirety of kingdoms, territories, and cultural hubs that practiced Islam, or at least had Arabic as an official language. Because guess what? You can practice Islam and not speak Arabic, and you can live in a territory where Arabic is official language and not being a Muslim. So yeah, I think without further ado, we're going to jump. I have so many beautiful images that I just cannot wait to show you. I think we can jump to the topic that is, concerning us today. And I am way, way excited. This is beautiful. Also, I'm going to be mispronouncing certainly a lot of words, because I don't speak Greek. I sort of read it, but I don't speak Greek, and English is not my first language. So I just have a feeling about how some words should be pronounced. If I do mispronounce them, apologies if I offend your native language ears. Native ears. I'm trying my best over here. Okay, so as I was saying, today we will be discussing Furūsīyah, also named the art of horsemanship. And the Arabic literary tradition of horse riding, which is actually what Furūsīyah is, dates back thousands of years and occupied large sections of pre-Islamic poetry. So we have already a base, a cradle of knowledge in which Furūsīyah is going to be developed. This is not something that Islam invents. Not at all. The veterinary medicine, the hippiatry, in Furūsīyah literature, much like the case of human medicine, was adopted from the Byzantine Greek sources around the 9th or the 10th centuries. Or even before that, even before the 9th and 10th centuries, which is the earliest Furūsīyah manuscript that we preserve, or at least earliest Furūsīyah works that we have, even prior to that, we had the presence of horsemanship and horses in poetry, in Arabic pre-Islamic poetry throughout the whole peninsula. Was that all local? Does not know in Arabic put a limit on how seriously Muslim one can be. I can imagine people expect you to read the Quran in the original. That's the thing. We know about communities in which the Quran was read to. It was read aloud, therefore you will follow the service and you would memorize the pronunciation, the same that happened not so long ago in Spain, for example. People would go to mass and would recite things in Latin, but they don't know they didn't know how to read Latin or even to write it. They just knew what they had to say. So in this case, it's perfectly possible that you know the formulas or the sentences that you need to know to follow the prayer. But that doesn't mean you have to have the capacity to read Arabic, which is a very difficult language. And also, it doesn't mean that you speak it out in the streets or at home. It is very interesting because sometimes Arabic is merged. I mean, if you know something about Arabic as a language, you know that there is no such thing. Arabic, unfortunately, it's a myth. It doesn't exist. Why? Because there's one thing called Fusha, which is like, it will be like the official one in which textbooks, the news, and the Quran is written for all the Muslims around the world to read it. However, it varies in every territory you go to. Lebanon, Misr, which is Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, in north of Africa, of course. So it's entirely possible to be a Muslim, to follow religiously the prayers, but not being able to speak Arabic. Sometimes you're expected to read from the Quran, but it's actually okay if you don't. There's multiple people that read the Quran in translated languages. They don't acknowledge the book as the Quran, however. For them, a translation is a translation. It's not the Quran. The Quran is written in Arabic. However, it's a way of making the book accessible to all the people. So I see bad education was not a 20th century invention. No, it was not. It was definitely not. And also, we would need a time machine to go back in time and see how intense or how important was Arabic as a language for certain groups of people, depending on the surroundings, the culture, the neighbors they had, their own political organization, even the food, the music, the literature. Because, for example, people in Iran, they would go to the mosque and they would pray, but they could do so in Persian. I've seen people pray in Persian. They do so in Arabic too, but, there's this the mixture here. I was saying that it was, in the case of Furūsīyah, there is an immediate source in the Byzantine compilation on veterinary medicine known as Hippiatrica, which would be something like the art of managing horses. And that one is from the 5th or the 6th century. And the very word horse doctor in Arabic is baitar. Baitar comes from the Greek hippiatros. I'm not a linguist. I'm not a philologist. I don't know how we move from hippiatros to baitar. I'm just here to tell you that is what happened. And the very first known treatise in Arabic, it was written by Ibn Akhi Hizam, which we will come back to later on the stream. This guy, though, keep just put a pin on this thought. He was an Abbasid era commander and the stable master to the Caliph al-Muta'addid, who reigned between 892 and 902. And he was the author of the Kitab al-Furūsīyah wa al-Baitara, which is the book of horsemanship and hippiatry. And then sometime later, we have Ibn al-Nadim in the late 10th century records. But Ibn al-Nadim doesn't write a book of his own. What Ibn al-Nadim does is record and register the availability in Baghdad, in the library of Baghdad, of several treatises on horses and veterinary medicine attributed to Greek authors. Now, let me teach you something about how the quote, I'm sorry, I said I wasn't going to say that anymore, but let me tell you something about how science worked in the Arabic language, how in the Arabian Peninsula and also was expanded to Iran Bozorg, how the treatise thing and the translation thing worked. So the original text would have been from Greek origin, even Latin origin, and then the translators copied that and translated that to Arabic. However, the concept of translating was not always as we understand it now, meaning that a translation did not have to be precise and exact. Why is this? Because multiple authors, what they would do is what now we would call a revision of the work. They would copy the work, and as they were doing it, they would note down or complete sections that they deemed not enough. They would correct some things according to the time in case the science had developed differently. I mean, these sources we're talking about, they are like from the 5th century. We are talking about something being copied in the 8th of 9th century. Things change quite a lot in 300 years, don't you think? So that is why Sohrab, that's why we appreciate Ferdowsi. He risked Persian language when many countries changed their language to Arabic. Well, actually, Sohrab, I'm very happy you mentioned this, because I want to bring the attention not to Ferdowsi, because he was definitely... Ferdowsi wrote from a place of privilege, because by the time Ferdowsi started to write, Persian was already well established. It was Rudaki, the person, the poet, the legend, who actually started to present Persian as a cultural opposition to the imposition of Arabic. And Rudaki, that was the 9th century, alongside all the poets, all the scientists, all the mathematicians, all the scholars, they started pushing and wrote what now we call modern Persian, which is a variation of what nowadays is spoken in Farsi-speaking countries. So Ferdowsi had it good. You know, it was like roughly 150 years after this fight came up with the authorities. So when Ferdowsi started to write the Shahnameh, he was like, you know, I'm good. I'm comfortable here. And of course, he contributed tremendously to the preservation, not the preservation, but to the establishment of Persian as a language of culture. But definitely he was not the first one. And Rudaki is not a figure, historical figure, that gets the credit he deserves. That's my own opinion. Rudaki needs to be much more known, and he is not. So spread the word, my butcher. Go and share the news and tell your friends and family about Rudaki and his fight to make Persian a language. But we were talking about Arabic, and in fact, we're not going to tread that much of the Iranian plateau in this stream, I am afraid, because we're going to stay away from it. I'm still going to mention something, because the Persian at Iran Bozorg lives in my heart rent-free. I pay it to stay. But this is going to deal with Arabic literature. So I was telling you about the way of making science. The treatises would be completed, modified, noted, and changed by Arabic authors doing their thing. Sometimes these changes are credited in the manuscript, but sometimes they're not. So we really cannot be 100% sure that the Greek sources we preserve via the Arabic translators were exactly as such when they were first written. I'm hoping that makes sense to you, because it does in my head. If it doesn't, just please let me know. I don't like monologuing here. I mean, I do, because I have a Twitch channel. But if I am really not delivering a message, that I'm doing my job poorly then. So there's an interest on creating this corpus literature regarding horses. And in fact, the interest kept on evolving. The discipline reached its peak in Mamluk Egypt during the 14th century. That is the apex of Furūsīyah. In a narrow sense, the term Furūsīyah or Furūsīyah literature comprises works by professional military writers with a Mamluk background or close ties to the Mamluk establishment. And these treatises often quote pre-Mamluk works on military strategy. For example, the ones we've been talking about, the one by Hizam, Ibn Akhi Hizam. And there's one very well-known versified treatise that was written by one called Taybuqa al-Baklamishi, al-Yunani, meaning the Greek. Was this Byzantine? Who is this person? It was around 1368, and he wrote a poem called Al-Tulab fi Ma'arifat Rami al-Mushbab, which I couldn't find the translation for that. I'm really sorry. But by this time, by the 14th century, and probably a wee earlier, the discipline of Furūsīyah becomes increasingly detached from its origins in Byzantine veterinary medicine and more focused on military art. Why is this? Because the art of horsemanship is very, very important in the military world. Not only for the Mamluks, but especially for the Mamluks, if you know what what I mean. And I'm going to show you different things. This here belongs to a 14th century manuscript illustrated in Egypt, we think. And what I really like is it shows in double folio the parts of a horse noted in Arabic. I cannot read one word that's here. I used to know Arabic. I studied Arabic for 4 years. It's gone entirely. It's vanished from my brain because the later one that was, like holding the last beacon of resistance was kicked out when I started learning Persian. Fatality. And I really like this one, but I also wanted to show you something else, which is this, for example. These are 4 horsemen. I don't know what they represent, but pay attention to the images because this is one of the few illustrated Mamluk manuscripts that we preserve. These over here, I'll go into the details later of the manuscript, but this is a treasure. This is so precious because there's no many of them. Okay, so I noticed how much you enjoyed when we did the stream on dreams and visions, how much you like categorizing things and how much you enjoy categories as a whole. So here I am delivering because there's 3 basic categories of Furūsīyah. The first one is horsemanship, which includes veterinary aspects and the proper care of the horse, which is a hippology, and then the proper riding techniques, the equestrian side of it, so to speak. That is the first category. The second wand, Wingardium Leviosa. I can't speak today. The second one is mounted archery, and the third one is jousting. Any fans of A Knight's Tale here? I am one, guilty as charged, because just, how do you actually pronounce joust? I'm going to, sorry. Un momento. Joust. I'm just repeating what the man over here says. Okay, so jousting was not just a Western phenomenon. It occurred in the entire world. People like that. Lucas says, I like how the horse feet are drawn so much more carefully than the human feet. Yes, because the focus over here are the horses. It doesn't matter who's riding them. Although it's a great source for learning about the dress, about the equipment of the riders, about the weaponry, about the horse furniture. Incredible. Just packed the metallic horse and now I'm here to see these amazing horses. Yay! Horses! Did you pet your metallic horse? Did you tell them they've done a good job? There. So, we have horsemanship, including veterinary aspects and proper riding techniques. We have mounted archery and we have jousting. There's another author, which is Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, or Jawziyah, because again, Arabic is my strong suit. Hi, Pichu! Who adds swordsmanship as a fourth discipline in his treatise Al-Furūsīyah from 1350. However, although the horsemanship, mounted archery, and jousting are the 3 best known ones, I would say, the first treatise, or the eldest treatise we had, the Kitab al-Furūsīyah wal-Baytara by Akhi Hizam, this book of horsemanship and hippiatry, he cited 3 fundamental principles for Furūsīyah, and I really like these ones. Because I feel you can see how these were the originals, According to Ibn Akhi Hizam, 3 fundamentals to Furūsīyah were horse mastery, proficiency in handling all types of weapons, and finally, bravery. Because I don't want to be rude or curse, But if you want to really dominate the art of horsemanship in a military way, you must grow a pair. You need to be iron-willed because it's difficult. It hurts a lot, and it's not this easy activity that you can perfect without pain throughout the years, because one can learn how to properly read out loud, recite or write better poetry, cook better, sew better. But horsemanship, though, this one's way more painful. And just because of that, it is way more revered. I said that I was going to mention the Persian side of it, and I am, because oh, look at this. Speaking about jousting, that is word. That's a word. Jousting. Look at this beautiful image of two horse rider meeting in combat. This is beautiful. And I'm going to talk about the images later. Plumas, focus. I said that even riding a horse in peacetime isn't so simple. Exactly. It's not an easy activity to perform, let alone to master. There is an Iranian/Persian dimension to this Furūsīyah, which is the faras name. Of course, because the name has to be present. The faras name can be dated with confidence just about the mid-14th century, but the tradition really picks up with the Safavid dynasty. These, from the Safavids, like roughly the early 16th century onwards, farasname really becomes popular, and you see a lot of treatises and books and illustrations about horses, because the Safavids were very much horse-oriented, such as the Mamluks. In fact, these interests in Furūsīyah, or in the Farasname, traveled to the Iranian world via the Mamluk Egypt, and this contact with the Mamluks as a political and cultural hub, because it's interesting, isn't it? Given how many nomadic people were in the Iranian plateau, because we know they were notorious in there, and how much horse-oriented and how importantly horse were tied to the daily life of multiple cultures that lived in the Persianate. We don't have a literature developed for them. We don't have the dedication of authors to write about horses and the way of caring for them. I'm pretty sure there were things around, but not like in Egypt, like in Mamluk Egypt. The phenomenon, it doesn't reach to the level of that. There is one treatise by Abdallah Safi known as the Bahmani Farazname. This was written either in 1407 or 1408, and it is said to preserve a chapter from another different, like a different work from the 12th century, from the Ghaznavid time, and also dealing with horses. And perhaps there is a single extant manuscript. It's just a piece, a treatise attributed to one called Muhammad ibn Zangi, also known in other sources as Qayyam Nehavandi. This has been tentatively dated as originated in the 12th century, but we don't know exactly. But see, where we have a lot of scattered mentions and just like few sources in the Iranian world, we have multiple authors and books and records of Furūsīyah treatises in Mamluk Egypt. I had noted down many of them here. Like there's one short work that actually is attributed to Aristotle, and it's a Persian translation from Arabic, not from Greek. And they're also supposedly treatises translated into Persian from Hindustani or Sanskrit, which makes a lot of sense because, as I was saying, these cultures are very much horse-oriented, like a lot. Look, regarding the armor and the horse trappings, they're not in the representations of the horses. You don't see that heavy armor because that impedes a lot on horses' movement. The armor in a horse in the battlefield, like on the battlefield, it's much more a flaw than it is a pro, if you know what I mean. Armors make horses slower and easier targets, whereas the Mamluk and the way they fight, being from nomadic origin, is much more oriented towards a light cavalry style. You know, this kind of lightning attacks being quicker and quick to follow, to run away and separate from the main jaleo in the center. So the Mamluk, perhaps they had some parade, like, you know, decorative pieces, but strong armor is not present, not in them, and definitely not on their horses. It's a nice observation, that one. So I've noted here like multiple poems and sources, but I don't think it's really interesting to read them because I just noted them here. I just left a note for myself in case I want to come back to these. And this one. Oh, I love this one. This is one of my favorite because I don't know exactly what the soldier is holding in his left hand. I am positive it's some kind of shield, but I don't know if that's a relief, something painted, or something entirely different and I got it wrong and it's absolutely not a shield, but you know, like a vaccine or something like that carrying actual fire. It would be very cool if this was an allegorical representation and it was intended to be the sun itself. I don't know. Okay, so I realized I haven't told you what the term Furūsīyah means, so let me explain this to you very quick. The word Furūsīyah derives from the word faras, which means horse, and hence faris, which is horseman or cavalier or knight. And that's why in Persian it's faras name, because horse in Persian is asb. So the term faras name is a direct translation from Furūsīyah. There's one scholar that I've been following in, like, for the creation of this script. I've been following his work quite a lot, which is David Ayalon, or Ayalon. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. I'm really sorry. But David Ayalon conducts a comprehensive survey of the research done on Furūsīyah and speaks a lot about the sources we have and what to find on them. And he is the one who uses the term Furūsīyah treatises in its broadest sense, so to say, because they often deal not only with just exercises in horsemanship, but also with many other forms of military training that involved horses. Now that I think of it, not necessarily. It's just Furūsīyah is such an important part of the military training and of the military career of the Mamluks that it's ever present. What Ayalon does is including all the books that have a mention to Furūsīyah in his Furūsīyah treatises. However, I wanted to make this distinction because that doesn't mean they are fully devoted to the art of horsemanship necessarily. And there is another scholar that Ayalon quotes, is called Poliak. The surname is Poliak. And Ayalon uses this definition of Furūsīyah, which I really liked. So I quote, Furūsīyah are the qualities that are essential for the perfect horseman. Furūsīyah that may be defined as physical culture rather than knightly qualities. Among its branches, we find the correct use of the bridle and spurs, expertise in thoroughbred horses, wrestling, spear exercises, preparation and use of bows and arrows, and more. End of quote. So you see, there's not just these treatises. The Furūsīyah is not just a bunch of records on how to take care of a horse in one way. It's about diet, it's about exercise, it's about the breeding of the horses, but also it has to do with the horseman as much as it has to do with the animal, meaning that in these Furūsīyah treatises there are included a very solid, strict and thorough military training, physical training in order to get stronger and more capable with spears, bows, arrows. And so I'm hoping I'm drawing the bigger picture here and you can actually see what I mean by the broad sense of Furūsīyah, because it's not just you sit like this on a horse and this is how you grab the reins. Absolutely not. It's way beyond that. It's much more than that. Also, bear in mind that because of this nomadic tradition, these people had to live with their horses and be completely independent in order to create a successful army and a successful bunch of knights that performed on the battlefield. Yeah, that is a spicy cake. I really like that one. I like the spicy cake version. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that. Yeah, it's a spicy cake. So, because of the individuality of these this one's so beautiful with the Dotek horse. I love it. I love it so much. Because of the individuality of riders and how they had to take care of themselves, them and the horse. How to explain this? Because I don't. Yeah, Furūsīyah was not so much a science or a branch of literature as it was a lifestyle. People who dedicated themselves to the art of Furūsīyah did nothing else. This was their thing. And I'm not talking about the authors who wrote about it. I'm talking about the riders, the knights, the people that lived with the horses. And this is the reason why it became progressively, especially in Mamluk Egypt, progressively more and more attached to the art of war. Because the riders, the Mamluk cavalry, was incredibly important, not only on the battlefield, but also as a way of expressing, as a source, we could say, to reputation, social position, and thriving, actually, going up the ladder of social status. During the rule of the Mamluks in Egypt and Syria, which we can calculate between 1250 to 1517, roughly, the presence of the Crusaders coming from Europe seems to have stimulated a great interest in the military arts, weaponry, and cavalry training among rulers in the Near and Middle East. That added to the hi Kimu, how are you? And that attached to, as I was saying before, a nomadic tradition and a nomadic lifestyle that really was special for not only the Mamluks, but all the cultures in the Middle East. The cavalry training was designed to improve the skills of soldiers who practiced jousting exercises and equestrian games to prepare them not only for the battlefield, but also for entertaining large crowds of spectators in specially built stadia or hippodromes. Because yes, these people were professional sports people. Before, Uloko mentioned that it's not easy to ride a horse in a time of peace. And I completely agree. I could not agree more with him, because these are the sportsmen of the time. Because jousts are incredibly popular, horse races are incredibly popular, and horse games are super popular. Like mounted archery, these kind of obstacle race, they were displayed in these. I'm lost it entirely. I need to look for a word because I forgot it. I forgot it in English. Okay. Yeah, they were. They were, definitely. And they behave as such. And the fact that in the sources we find that we have spaces built for horse activities on purpose, people were dedicating time and money and resources into building these spaces. And what does that tell us? That these spaces were incredibly important for the society, that this was a spectacle that was, everyone was willing to witness. They really, really liked the horse games. And something you may not know about the Mamluks was that they worked in a, how do you say meritocracia in English? Meritocracy. Was that, Umberto? I was wondering, when you say knights, does that imply a specific social group or just that they were ride horses? No, I didn't answer. I just saw your question. when I say knights, I mean horse riders. I don't want to use the word knight. I much more prefer horse rider or rider, because knight has this imagery attached to it, right? Like the Crusader knight, like the Knight of San Juan, oh, the Templars kind of thing, like heavy armor, beautiful coated horses in white with the red cross pattern. Yeah, no. A knight actually would be a person on top of a horse. And I'm just avoiding using the term so much. Maybe I'm not succeeding, but definitely these people were riders. Of course, there must have been status among them, but because owning your own horse, it's really a big thing. Oh yeah, now the movie, yeah, Knight's Tale is such a good film. I love it. I love it so much. We're knights of the round table, we dance where we able. Not those knights, but just people with horses, like owners and horse riders. But I was going to tell you, maybe you didn't know this about the Mamluks, but they were a very strong meritocracy. In fact, many of the sultans were first slaves, and the education of a slave who was acquired as a child or a youth consisted mainly of military training for his destiny as a Mamluk warrior and a soldier in the service of one emir, sultan, or the other. It didn't matter. But here's the twist. The basic education was in the various forms of warfare that were included under the heading of Furūsīyah. Learning Furūsīyah and becoming an expert in its skills was the main guarantee of progress in the social-political hierarchy, I hate that word in English, hierarchy of the Mamluks. The main the main one. I wanted to do like a statement and I couldn't because my English is not Englishing today. So yeah, learning and mastering Furūsīyah was the key to progress and success in the social-political hierarchy of the Mamluks. Horses and horse riding. And I don't mean this, I'm not saying this to make it look simple or like meh. Au contraire, I'm saying this in such a way to emphasize the importance of not only the animals, but all the activities and the lifestyle surrounding them. Horses could make you sultan. For the love of Jesus Christos, love for horses could make you sultan. Many emirs, regional governors, and sultans had started off as slave boys and then risen in the scale, in the hierarchy, by virtue of the military education they had prior received. And this social progress based on talent in Furūsīyah was one of the characteristics of the Mamluk period, and possibly the only reason I wanted to talk about them, because they measured the skills of the horse riders in order to consider where to locate them in their society. And I think that is extremely cool. My God. Umberto, I have no flipping idea, because Furūsīyah is only dedicated for camels. Sorry, it's only dedicated for horses. Camels and elephants, I don't know. I love elephants, though. I love elephants, and camels are good fun. But I have no idea. Sorry. No. I don't know. We saw this one. Oh, let me show you these. These are 2 pages. They're not together, meaning these are not consecutive folios. But I wanted to show you so you could have like a better grasp of how the book that I'm showing all the time would look like as a whole. Again, these are no consecutive pages. If you look at the one on the right, you can see the side of a drawing that is definitely not the one. Sorry, the one on the left. You could see the start of a drawing that's definitely not the one on the right. But I wanted you to show you. The rider on the left. I really want to think they are wielding a fan. Because, one, I love Kitana from Mortal Kombat, and to me, combat fans should be a thing. But also, because I am a Spanish person. I am Spanish, and I cannot deny my very much Spanish background. If that's a fan, a military fan, something in my gut screams Loco Ibiza, Disco Ibiza, Loco Mia. Yeah, like it's just please. So oh my god, Furūsīyah fan. Yeah, welcome to the team, Ponik. It was a matter of time. So these substantial body of literature from the Mamluk period, the Furūsīyah, and the abundance of these works emphasizes how both in war and in peacetime, how these equestrian skills were very important, if not the most important aspect in the life of the Mamluk elite. Again, not only for warfare, but also for entertainment. I don't know how much a professional rider could earn by just, performing. This was a spectacle, a show. And there's several sultans, such as Sultan Taimur Bugha, who reigned in 1486, that were reputed to be skilled in Furūsīyah. And these texts included methods of warfare that had not previously existed. And the sources state explicitly that it was a science in the full sense of the word, and that anyone who aspired to be a cavalryman himself had to learn and practice equestrian skills. It was not just a matter of learning by reading and memorizing. You had to be able to demonstrate your skills. In fact, even if you could not read the sources, if you could demonstrate your skills and that you learned from these sources some other way, that was so valued and so highly esteemed. You can't imagine. And at the same time, as I was saying before, the Furūsīyah is an art form that was seen as encompassed by different sports. Although the Arabic essays of the period, because mostly these are written in Arabic, I think I've already said that, but just to emphasize to really point down the idea. The chronicles particularly contain a wealth of detail on battles and military campaigns. The technical terms used in referring to the military method, they're not that easy to understand. And the method is properly described in detail in the chronicles of Ibn Taqri Birdi, who lived around 1409 until 1469, more or less. He was a Mamluk who held an official military role, and he was the son of the Atabeq al-Aksar. His intimate knowledge of Furūsīyah, due to the fact that he belonged to the Mamluk military establishment, it renders his chronicles one of the most important in the matter. And he writes that Furūsīyah, and I love this part, I really like this part. He writes that Furūsīyah differs from courage and daring. A courageous man is one who struggles bravely with his rival, while the horseback rider is expert at riding his horse both forwards and backwards during the battle. A person well trained in Furūsīyah knows exactly the needs of the horse that serves him faithfully in battle, and also what is needed for the care of the weapons that serve him as a soldier and as a fighter. He takes all of these things according to the rules prescribed in the regulations that are known to all who are qualified in this matter, meaning that there is a code of conduct, there is a instruction manual to follow, and a method of learning the Furūsīyah. Yes, backwards. Backwards means not only for the horse going backwards, but the horse will be running in one direction, but your body would be facing the opposite. Such was the way of the Parthian shot. Let me show you if I have an image of something like that, so we can better see it. Oh, this is something super nice I want to show you. Allow me not to forget. I don't think I have one, unfortunately. Don't I? I don't have one, but I found this. This is a horse rider spearing a bear. And actually, I'm sorry for the gory detail, but if you look at the jaw of the bear, you can see there's a spike coming, and you follow the line. There's a spike coming through its chest. That is the spear of the raider, and this illustration is gorgeous. Don't we love the Parthian shot in our games? Don't we all? As I speak, two friends are having a very nice match in Age of Empires, but I'm here speaking about horses with you, and I think I would not change it for the world. I love being here, so happy. So you can see how Furūsīyah was incredibly important, and I want to talk now about the treasure that I've been showcasing, this jewel of a manuscript kept in the British Library. And if you are any concerned about these things, it is the manuscript MS18866, and this has just been uploaded into to the Qatar Digital Library. So let me see. So in case you don't know the Qatar Digital Library, I was going to say Milita. The Qatar Digital Library is a corpus of digitalized manuscripts, and it's so useful. I'm just going to paste this one over here. Yeah, I know, Kimu. I know, it is incredible for them. And this manuscript was, it is dated around 1371, and the author is Muhammad ibn Isa ibn Ismail al-Hanafi al-Aqsarai, who died in Damascus in 1348. And the colophon states that this is something he completed in prior to. Sorry, I am reading. I was going to say something super stupid, like incredibly stupid. I was going to say that he completed the manuscript prior to his death. No shit, Sherlock. No shit. Okay, so let me rephrase that, because I was doing three things at the same time, and clearly my brain cannot handle those. So, the original manuscript, which is the Nihayat al-Sul wa'alumniya fi ta'alim a'mal al-Furūsīyah, this original manuscript was created by an author called Muhammad ibn Isa ibn Ismail al-Hanafi al-Aqsari, who died in Damascus in 1348. However, the manuscript was copied. This copy is made by the scribe Ahmad ibn Omar ibn Ahmad al-Mizri, which means the Egyptian, the Misri. And the colophon says that this copy of the manual was completed on the 10th of Muharram, 773, which would be like 25th of July 1371, roughly, more or less. And we don't know exactly if the manuscript was completed in Egypt or in Syria, but it doesn't matter, because by this time the Mamluks controlled both territories. And the manuscript came to the British Library in 1852, having been purchased at the auction of the state at Sir Thomas Reed, one time a jailer for Napoleon Bonaparte, which is something like, I don't know, I just made the note because I thought it was funny. As I was saying, the title pages name the work Nihayat al-Sul wa'alumniya fi ta'alum a'mal al-Furūsīyah, which means an end of questioning and desiring further knowledge concerning learning of the different exercises on horsemanship, which is a hell of a title to recite. So, henceforth, Nihayat, if you'll be so kind. This is an example of how popular Furūsīyah was in Arabic literature and how it embraced all aspects of horsemanship and chivalry. And the manuscript itself deals with care and training of horses, the weapons which horsemen carry, such as the bow, the sword, and the lance, and the assembling of troops, and the formation of battle lines. And in fact, one of my favorite illustrations, I don't know if it does qualify as an illustration, it is much more a diagram, but I love it because in these pages you can see the diagram of a parade in a parade ground. So in here is described how horsemen should parade with their animals, in which formation and around which structures. And I really wish I could read all of this, but I cannot. I simply cannot. And it tortures me because I want to learn everything there is to know about how to properly parade with a horse in this kind of space. A diagram, and it's not the only one contained in the manuscript. I found multiple, but I didn't want to show them to you because I did not know exactly what they were. But there's more like this. I love this topic. I'm loving these streams so much. So you see, it's not just about, I've said this multiple times, I'm really sorry, but it's not just about taking care of the horses and caring for them. He's not just about learning how to ride them. He's not just about learning how to fight on them. It's also learning how to behave and how to... It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. And the fact that this one is de vara de medir, how do you say, how the measuring bar we have, actually, it was very, very easy. The fact that this horsemanship is the measuring tool to establish someone's status in the socio-political atmosphere, that is mind-blowing. That is fantastic. It's incredible. It speaks volumes about a society and about a culture such as the Mamluks, which unfortunately I don't know much about. I remember that I got very interested on them during my undergrad. Very interested. And in fact, I could recite by memory multiple of them because there's a lot of sultans. There's 40 something. And I learned the names of many of them because I really like them. However, I don't know much of them as a society. Only researching for this stream taught me so much already. By analyzing how society or a culture treated their animals and connected these animals to the daily life, you can learn so much. And I am so happy you patrons wanted me to talk about this because I am over the moon. And this manuscript is so early, from the 14th century, and it's a true treasure in itself. And it contains the most beautiful illustration and examples of manuscript painting. Because yes, Bacha, manuscript painting was not something that Iranians invented. No, manuscript painting occurred... I'm going to show you which one I wanted to show you. Oh, this one. Manuscript painting occurred in the Arabian Peninsula even before the manuscripts were started to be illustrated in the Iranian plateau. This one is contemporary to different schools that were also painting in Iran. But I really wanted to show you these examples because I am all about manuscripts in Iran, Persian manuscripts and Iranian manuscripts, but manuscripts, illustrated manuscripts, existed beyond the Irani Bozorg, beyond Persianate. And no, these are not miniatures. These are illustrations. And they are such a valuable source to study the Mamluks, not only for the technique, the colors, and the disposition of the images, but also because of what is here. The study of the anatomy of the horse, which is almost perfect. The garments they're wearing, the horse trappings and horse furniture, the weapons, the way these people are dressed, the plants even. It's incredible how much knowledge you can extract from these illustrations. And here, this is me, yet again, emphasizing the dimension of a source emphasizing the use of art history as a source, because it clearly is. Look at this. Look at these beautiful horse trappings, the saddle cloths. The tails are knotted. I don't know if you realize, but it's they're tied up in the back of the horse, possibly because they wanted to. Sorry, a jinn scared me. Hello? Hi. I am not alone in this world, apparently. The tails, as I was saying, the tails would be let grow. They will be very long. However, they were tied up, perhaps for aesthetics, but also perhaps for not interrupting, for something more practical in the art of horsemanship. And we can see the stirrups as well. We can see the coats, and we can see so many things. I could spend hours and hours just talking about this because I really like this manuscript. And it just goes beyond the military and equestrian arts. It's just the painting is so detailed, which is fantastic. And the calligraphy is also beautiful. Again, I cannot read it, so sorry. But it's just, I really like showing you and showcasing more than showing how art history is a source to learn about the past. I really like it. I love it. I think it's something that should be taught in university and in high school much, much more often. Do not fret. I am here to give the speech in defense of art history. And that's everything I had for you today. The golden halos are part of the raider's garment. We don't know exactly. I mean, I don't know. It could be they are a copy from all the manuscripts. It could be that is a way of enhancing their presence, or it also could be nothing of the sort as an aesthetic choice, because I don't know who these two riders are. It could be also a hat. It could be just a decorative thing. I don't know. I have to research a wee bit more about those. I can read that these two knights greeted each other. They called them Pepito and Don Jose. And you know the truth from here. Yeah. Definitely they are Don Pepito and Don Jose. So, intermediate. I really, really don't know, Kimo. It could be they are halos imitating Christian manuscripts. It definitely is a possibility. But the question here would be, are they consciously imitating the halo, thus evoking a religious sentiment? Are they consciously copying the halo because they like the aesthetics of it? Are they not consciously copying the halo and just putting that as an aesthetic solution to signal the riders as something of importance in the image? You see, there's multiple questions to be asked, and I love asking myself those questions because that's how art history plays. That's how you do it. So you could be a very nice art historian, Kim, just like, if you want to study the best discipline in the world, just go for it. You have my blessing. And this is everything I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I certainly had a lovely time. I think this topic is fantastic. I had a phenomenal time writing the script, and I cannot but thank my patrons again for choosing it over others. Thank you so much for allowing me to step outside the passionate for a moment, just to talk about an animal that I love notoriously, which is the horse, and to share it with you. It's been my greatest pleasure. If everything is better with dragons and with horses, yes it is. I really like, I think the conclusion is the one I always give when we speak about something that is not human-based or human-centered. We've been studying humans for quite a long while. And don't get me wrong, human history is incredible and I really like it. But I also enjoy putting the spotlight somewhere else, in this case animals, because they've been accompanying humanity from the very dawn of time, and the role they play, as we've seen in this stream, it's very important. So much so that it could determine an animal and your capacity or your capabilities around said animal could determine your social position. That is massive. That is such a big key element to the horse. And I hope to do so with other animals in other occasions. So thank you for putting your trust in me. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you would have a wonderful week and weekend ahead of you. And as always, it's been a pleasure. This has been Plumas, the enthusiastic horse lover. And do not forget to create, explore, and to have lots of fun. Until we see each other next time, Bacha, I bid you Khodafis. There's still some tea. Hooray! Jackpot!